Hello and welcome to the Top Rope Podcast. Yeah, woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I present to you our weekly grades. Man, a busy week in pro wrestling. We're going to start all the way back at last Sunday at NXT Deadline. I know it was a PLE pay-per-view, but we don't normally review NXT pay-per-views. I just thought this was a really good show, so I do want to touch on that before we get into our normal shows. Monday Night Raw, NXT on CW, AEW Dynamite. Didn't get a chance to watch TNA this week, just too much going on, but we'll have Smackdown for you, and then a special Saturday night's main event from last night as of this recording as we sit here on a Sunday. Hope you're having a good holiday season. We're going to give you the best show of the week, best match of the week, best promo of the week, best backstage of the week, and move of the week. That starts right now. I like the Armory in Minneapolis for NXT Deadline. Very cool spot. Not a huge venue, but it felt big in terms of feeling like a pretty big show. And they started it off, surprisingly, I thought, with the Men's Iron Survivor Challenge, and I am giving it an A+. And definitely nominee for Match of the Week. Oba Femi, who we didn't even know was going to be in it. He was Ava's choice with Eddie Thorpe being hurt. And I'll kind of tie in NXT from CW as we talk about Deadline, because we saw on NXT it all made sense with Eddie Thorpe. He was the one who attacked himself. He figured, all right, if I do this, set this up, it's his heel transformation. Eddie Thorpe, he's going to get a title shot now next week after it was just a big ruse so he could get a title shot without having to go through the Iron Survivor. So I thought that was a really good storyline, because otherwise it's like, poor Eddie. It's just one of those deals where he qualifies, but he's not that good. So that they're just going to kick him off the side. Well, no, that's not the case. He's going to get a title match. Obviously, he's not going to win. I think Oba Femi will win the title. I believe it's like the first show of the New Year's Evil for NXT. I think Oba could take it. Maybe we see Trick Williams go to the main roster. Maybe he's in the Royal Rumble. Then again, maybe not. I would argue for Oba Femi, even though he's not had a super long run on NXT. Probably needs to be NXT champion first, and then maybe not in 2025. Probably more like 2026 before he gets called up to the main roster. But yeah, this was just a fantastic match. I loved everything that they did with the clock. That has to be very difficult to match all the sequences up, all the moves, and then guys coming out. You got to finish up this here, finish up that there before this can happen, but it's all on the clock. I loved Oba Femi and Ethan Page fighting in the box, and the double choke slam at the end to score 2 falls to go ahead of the other guys, but then there's like 13 seconds left. I figure he's just going to get up and start celebrating and count down, watch the clock tick off. Well, he gets up, but then Javon Evans out of nowhere with a big move off the top rope, but he couldn't get to the cover in time before the clock ran out, and Oba Femi, the number 1 contender. And like I said, I say he wins. I say he wins that title. The only critique here is I thought Javon Evans could have he had time. He had time to get to the cover a little bit quicker. He can look right at it, see when he needs to get there. Maybe the ref could have got to a 1 or a 2 count, but that is very tough to do. But worst case scenario, I mean, you could have had Oba Femi kick out right at the 24:59 mark if Evans would have got there early, but it was safe what he did to wait. And, and trying to struggle to get to the cover. And by the time he gets on him, the match was over. I thought it was fantastic. The Underground, Lola Vice, Jada Parker. I think it's funny how both these women have the Grand Theft Auto vibes going in their graphics. Underground's an okay gimmick match. Guess it's every once in a great while. I enjoyed it. They got creative with the karate belt, and the brick also was brought out, even though it never came into play, but it tied back into the story from before. So I thought that was a nice little callback there. Lola Vice prevails with a submission on a ref stoppage. TKO win. Give that a B minus. Tag team titles. Hell of an effort from Nathan Frazier after he had already wrestled earlier in the Iron Survivor Challenge. And honestly, a great effort by everybody. That one sequence with the Spanish Fly. Then Frazier hits the crazy flipping, twisting move, but it gets broke up. And the guy that broke it up, Tavion Heights, got super kicked right after that by Axiom, all in one sequence. That was some crazy, crazy stuff, man. Axiom accidentally hitting Frazier nearly cost him, but Axiom with a roll-up for the 3 count. Little weak on the ending with just a roll-up, but a great match. Going to give that an A minus. NXT title, Trick Williams beat Ridge Holland. That wasn't the main event, so we knew there was no way in hell that Ridge Holland was winning that match. And honestly, I hate to say it, but it was booked kind of as the bathroom break time slot, unfortunately. I don't know. I didn't like where it was booked at in the show, but the match was pretty darn good. But I do kind of understand with everything else that was going on why it was booked in that spot. Nice false finish with Trick kicking out towards the end, but he battles back, hits the Trick kick, and the Trick shot. Williams retains, I'll give that a B minus. In the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge, the number 1 contender for the Women's NXT Championship, Roxanne Perez, the champ. And this was very solid, just like the men's. Everything didn't go totally perfectly, as well as the men's did. Julia versus Zarya versus Sol Ruca versus Stephanie Vekar. I'm still struggling to try to say her name. Boy, it's sure like one of her rookie cards from Panini. But anyway, Ren Sinclair, the other one in that match. They booked this totally different, very smart. They had a lot of submissions going on in the first 10 minutes. And how about that double soul snatcher by Sol Ruca? That was pretty sweet, man. The double powerbomb on Zarya through the announce table. That was also cool. And Sol doing the back handspring and flipping outside, landing perfectly on 2 other girls was awesome. I thought Sol Ruca was the star in this matchup, but she really shined, man. But they all did, definitely, for sure. I think all these women could be on the main roster someday. Maybe not Ren Sinclair, maybe not Zarya. Probably Julia, definitely Vekar and Sol Ruca, I think. Just a lot of star power and women on the rise in this one and in NXT as a whole. The ending wasn't as crisp as the men, nor as exciting, but it was still great. And I'm a little surprised Julia won, but it made sense. Going to give that an A overall deadline grade, going A minus. Let's touch a little more on NXT. Before we, since we're already there, let's talk about NXT. Again, just give you my top 6. We'll run down them real quick. Shotzi Blackheart returning, even things up. Make it 3-on-3 against the heels of the faction of Fatal Influence. Number 5, Tony D and Ethan Page. Ethan Page said his career pretty much over if he lost this match. Well, he did, but I don't think it's over. I didn't like the way they kind of set this whole thing up backstage where he was kind of poo-pooing the North American title. Like, well, like that's a secondary title. And I'm paraphrasing here, but I think he said specifically a step down. So, but then everybody else said they would take the match if he didn't want it. And then all of a sudden Ethan Page was like, no, I'll take it. I just didn't like him kind of crapping on the NXT North American Championship just a little bit there. But, that wasn't too bad of a match. Eddie Thorpe tricking us. We already talked about that. I like that. Good swerve. The women's tag main event. Again, more star power. Kalani Jordan looked really great, even though she ate the pin. The heels, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade with the win over Jordan and Julia. I'm going to grade that an A. Wesley no, not an A. I'm going to give that a B. Wesley, Javon Evans, give it a B+. They had some This Is Awesome chants, NXT chants. Them boys put on a show, man. They absolutely put on a fantastic showing. Nominee for Match of the Week. And Javon Evans' stock just continues to rise and rise. That boy's bouncy. And number 1, I'm going to go Trick Williams and Oba Femi face to face. Give that an A-. I know there wasn't a whole lot going on there, but just the thought of them two guys going up against each other, again, I believe on New Year's Evil, should be pretty darn good. All right, let's backtrack a little bit and talk about Monday Night Raw. That opening segment, Gunther on the mic. Finn Balor comes out, setting up for main event. Damian Priest with the attack, but Judgment Day getting the best of it. Pretty basic stuff here. Was going to go C+, but I'll give it a B- because after the break, we saw Adam Pearce make it a triple threat match for the world title because of what happened in that opening segment. So giving it some merit there. We also had Final Testament versus the Wyatt Six. Big pop for the Wyatts. Even bigger than normal, I'd say. That's what happens when you keep them special. Obviously, they're not ever going to be as special without Bray Wyatt. God rest his soul. I miss him so much. But these guys are doing all right. Doing all right in the mid-card. Keeping them special, keeping them off TV. That way, when we do see them, I just think they need to do better stuff in between. I just haven't been really all that impressed with them in between. And there's a whole big group of them, and I don't know what they're going to do after Final Testament. I thought it was smart here to have Paul Ellering come back, have him help Final Testament get the win, so that'll lead to another match, and then Wyatt Six can go over and in that rivalry, I would think. CM Punk backstage interview told us absolutely nothing about the secret. Totally fine with that. Definitely good for them to ask about it. But then, he's not going to say anything yet. He's not going to say anything yet, but talked a bit about Rollins. It wasn't spectacular, but always interesting when CM Punk talks. Give that a B-. We had Dakota. Who did we have? Dakota Kai and Liv Morgan. I got to be fair here, because I gave an AEW match an F when they had a guy in the tournament fighting a non-tournament match while the tournament is going on. And Liv pretty much dominated. Dakota Kai, brawl afterwards. Big pop for EO coming out. Of course, she had the Saturday night main event match as well. This match wasn't quite as bad as when AEW did it, but still illogical and not very good. Give that a D+. We had Drew McIntyre with a promo. Said he had to go back home. His family needed him. Talked about the bloodline. Selling out to Roman Reigns. Definitely going to be a big storyline with that, and I like it. Decent little vignette. Give it a B-. Seth freaking Rollins on the microphone. Wichita was red hot for Rollins, playing the old babyface lines, but he did crap on CM Punk pretty hard. Said CM Punk's a con man. And Rollins playing right into the storyline Punk mentioned with Punk training Rollins. Honestly, though, I don't care much about that. I get it. You're gonna want to tell the story from the beginning, so that totally makes sense. Definitely deserve to be mentioned, but I don't know, just focusing too much on the distant past rather than the near past. Rollins said CM Punk tried to tear WWE down. And that was when I was like, all right, yeah. This is what got me hooked on it before. Was him crapping on CM Punk for what he did, leaving WWE the way he did. So thought it was all right, but not at the same level when Punk first came back, and the two hated each other then. But hopefully we can get back to that level. And I think that Seth Rollins hinted at the favor, though, when he mentioned Punk has never been in a main event at WrestleMania like him. I think somehow, some way or another, that is the favor. I don't know how we get there. But I think that's the favor, man. Sami Zayn shows up. Zayn apologizes for thinking Rollins attacked Jey Uso. The nice, good baby face thing to do. Good on you. I'm not wearing my hat here. I put it on. Good on you, Sami. Sami Zayn says Rollins sounded like Drew McIntyre last week. Zayn says Punk brings out the worst in Rollins. That was some good stuff going on there. What else? Oh, they get the big match announcement, I believe. Drew and Sami. Yeah. I was definitely looking forward to that one. Tell you how it turned out later on in the show here. But Drew attacks Sami. Officials break it up. Give that a B+. We had the triple threat WIC tournament title match. That's the Women's Intercontinental title. That's what I'm calling it. Zelina Vega versus Lyra Valkyrie versus Ivy Nile. Match was all right. Double German suplex by Nile was key. Some good timing on the breakups. Lyra advances with the Nightwing finisher. Fireman's carry into a sitting overhead slam. Meh. Nothing original. Too cookie cutter. Match grade, going to give it a C. And I will say that Lyra Valkyrie beats Raquel Rodriguez in the finals. That was my pick. Sticking with it. Excitement level, though, was not nearly as high as for that UWC. That's the United States Women's Championship. New Day promo, my goodness. Nominee for Moment of the Week. I didn't necessarily like Xavier Woods playing cameraman for a minute, but my, oh my, major heat on the New Day. We're talking Don Callis heat. We're talking Dominic Mysterio heat. Wouldn't even let them talk. Huge New Day sucks chance. And then we had some chance for Big E. And then they just leave. I mean, I love it when they won't let him talk. But at some point, I would like to hear him talk. But my, oh my, they're extremely over as heels whenever they won't let him talk. It was just like, wow. I mean, wow. I knew the crowd would hate him, but didn't know that it would be that bad. Incredible, man. Give it an A. Then we have the main event on Raw. Anything goes. Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley. I'm not going to mention that Rodriguez is in the WIC tournament. It's because she hasn't had a match yet. So that, all right, we're going to look past that one. And this has been a budding rivalry between the two. So, the fight starts on the outside. Eventually starts with lots of weapons on the inside. Pretty entertaining, hardcore match. Crowd was digging it. Outside interference from Liv Morgan, Io Sky. Rhea gets the win. Grade that a B. My Monday Night Raw top 3. Honorable mention, give the main event at number 3. I got Final Testament and the Wyatt 6. Number 2, I got Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre segment. And number 1, New Day getting drowned out by the crowd. Overall Raw grade, I'm going to go B-. The New Day saved it from a C+. And we already mentioned NXT. I think I forgot to give you my grade. Go B- on it as well. Maybe just a hair below Raw. I'll say Raw 82, NXT 80. And that will move us on to AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. Every time I hear that, I think of Sting making his debut at Winter is Coming in AEW. And man, if you think about it, I think Sting has had at this point, because his career is over, we think. Should be very old. But, God, I don't care. It's never going to happen. But give me a 5-minute match at WrestleMania between him and The Undertaker. I don't care. I don't care. I'd love to see both those guys' entrance again, them face-to-face. I don't care. I know I'm dreaming it. It probably absolutely should not happen. They're both too old. But anyways, AEW Dynamite winner is coming. But I know I was going to say there real quick. Sting, out of all the legends, well, he wasn't really a WWE guy, but out of all the veterans that have come to AEW, I would argue he might have had the best run. What a hell of a run it was that he had. As far as the older guys, Moxie's up there, but Bryan Danielson maybe, but I don't know. I'm partial to Sting, man. He's one of my all-time favorites. So, anywho, let's move and talk about Dynamite. Winner is coming. Tag team match, Pac and Moxley versus Orange Cassidy and Jay White. Hangman causing a DQ. C+. Hook attacking Christian Cage from the up in the press box area. Not press box area. There are some press boxes up there, but the suite. It was a suite. It wasn't too sweet, but it was all right. Give it a B. Thought Jon Moxley had a strong promo backstage. Give it a B+. Move on to some more action. Claudio Castagnoli versus Will Ospreay in the Continental Classic. If you haven't been watching the other shows I've been mentioning, I really dig this Continental Classic, leaving everybody backstage. You know, just the heels having to find old school ways to win. But in this one, a nominee for Move of the Week, Will Ospreay taking the clothesline from Claudio Castagnoli. I mean, I know, just a clothesline, but the way Ospreay flips and just lands so perfectly, face down, flat, not moving. It's like, you know, you can tell. Other guys, when they get hit, you can tell they're trying their best to complete their flip and they're doing the work. But whenever Ospreay gets hit, he made Claudio look like $1 million with the way he hits him, and the flip just looks like it was part of Claudio actually hitting him. That's how damn good that Will Ospreay is. It looks so legit. So good, man. So good. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. Highly believable. Will Ospreay gets a quick pin short time later. Very good match. It is definitely match of the night of Dynamite. Give it a B+. Ricochet backstage, meh, C. Matt Cardona backstage, yeah, a little bit better. Always ready. He is, man. Usually strong on the mic. No different here. Selling his ROH title shot at Final Battle against Chris Jericho. I don't even know when that was. I think it might be next week. Give it a B. And also on AEW Dynamite, we had Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly in the Diamond Ring Finals. Winner faces MJF at World's End. Not really spectacular. O'Reilly sold really well, I will say that. Adam Cole was all right, too. A small package wins it. I guess that makes sense between two friends. But back-to-back matches that ended like that. Not a fan of repeating there. Just not a strong way to finish a match for the number one contender, you might as well call it, for that Diamond Ring. It just fell a little bit flat, and MJF's timing coming to the ring was about 5 seconds too late. The ref's back turned for way too long. It's been a constant theme and problem in AEW since their inception in, what was it, 2019? Yes, it was. It wasn't good. That wasn't good. So a lot of times it's the ref's fault. This time here, it might have been MJF's fault. But, you know, and just in general in wrestling, this is a teaching moment, a teaching lesson here. I think it was on Main Event I saw it. Somebody's outside the ring. We've seen it a lot in AEW, obviously, as well. But something's going on the outside, but the refs just, and like the other wrestler wasn't even really hurt. They're on their feet, standing. Number one, they either need to be down on the ground, selling an injury. The ref should be over there with their back turned, asking them if they can continue. And it should be no more, but about 5 to 10 seconds. This MJF thing was about 25 seconds. And again, the wrestler wasn't even down. And so if you're not going to be down, so how do you make up for not being down? Well, you got to come pull them in and start talking to them. Whatever you have to do to pull the ref in to keep them distracted. The ref just can't be like, how you doing? Hey, bud, how you doing? Yeah, it doesn't work. So anyways, a teachable moment. Those are some things, if you're an up-and-coming wrestler, happen to be watching this show, those are things that you got to try to do to make it look believable. Give that a C plus. Just again, just MJF since his return. Not been great, and I heard some cheers because you keep him off TV for so long doing these stupid vignettes that haven't really been fantastic either. You're gonna get a pop. I don't care how hated you want him to be when he's not in the arena for so long, and he comes back. It's gonna happen. He got some cheers, not what you want. He got some boos too, but give that a C plus. FTR backstage, talking about the Death Riders. Good to see them on Dynamite. Hadn't really cared about what they've had to say for about, I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year now. But I like getting them in the picture. Just do a little something with them on Dynamite. They were on point with this promo. Give it a B. We have the Chris Jericho New York Minute. You either love it or you hate it, man. This is one of those deals. I just don't think there's much in between here. I said, screw it. I'll sit under the learning tree. It was a basic promo promoting, again, the ROH show, but Jericho's still gold, man. I don't care if you think he should retire. I still love him. It keeps me young. I'm about to go over the hill here. Keeps me young, baby. All right. In fact, he's still on my TV at 54 years old. Still looking pretty darn good, I think. Give that a B. Darby Allin sitting down with Tony Schiavone. Darby, holy cow, he punched himself in the face. I'm pretty sure that was legit. I think he started bleeding for real. If not, it looked like it. Sure did. Kind of took him a second to gather his thoughts. That's why I think it was believable. Or was real. And it was a good story about him and Mox. I loved it, man. I love the punching in the face and the blood. Give it an A minus. Pretty high on Darby Allin right now. Ricochet, Brody King, Continental Classic. Thought it was weird that Ricochet was what was he getting booed? I think I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, I don't know, just some weird stuff going on with Ricochet. His run hasn't been that great, and the crowd was kind of behind Brody. It's like it gets. I think what it was, he was getting booed during the match. I think he ended up winning. Hell, I can't remember. A lot of wrestling this week. But it was just weird because the crowd was like booing, and then cheering at the end. Like, all right. Anyways, moving on. Mariah May, Mina Shirakawa. Perfectly acceptable match for the AEW Women's Championship. And Mina's done a fine job, but just waiting on Toni Storm to show back up. Winter's Coming has a big theme about having returned their debuts. I totally expected this to happen here. To me, it was just a question of would she be timeless or not. She was not. I think that was absolutely the right call. It was awesome. It was awesome how she returned as her old self, and now she's letting Mariah May run with this sort of version of the timeless gimmick. She's got her own twist on it. Makes total sense. And I'm very happy that Toni Storm is back. Well, I will miss the timeless character. I will, though. I was a fan of it, but it was the right time for a change. And I think she might eventually win it back as a babyface from Mariah May. But and then when she does, and we see Mariah May go deeper into her own madness, have her lose it, I'm into it, man. Give that match grade a B minus, but bump the overall segment up to a B plus with Toni Storm's return. She didn't do anything. She didn't need to do anything. The physicality will come, friends. Have some patience. Best of Dynamite, we'll go with, how many do I got here? It looks like about 5 or 6. We'll start from the bottom, go that Mox backstage promo, Hook attacking Christian Cage, Darby sit down with Tony Schiavone, Ricochet Brody King match, Will Ospreay Claudio Castagnoli at number 2 for Best of the Week for Dynamite, and Toni Storm's return at number 1. Overall, Dynamite, great. I'm going with a B. Had a lot of things happening. Good backstage promo-wise, and some good in-ring wrestling. No real good in-ring promos, but Christian did all right from the press box. It's funny how Christian was messing up his words and played it off, telling the crowd to shut up like they had messed him up. I thought that was very clever. Dynamite pretty good this week. Give it a B. We're moving on to Smackdown. Jimmy Uso leading off the show. Meh. Did like the attack by Drew McIntyre, though. Give that a C+. Tiffany Stratton and Michin in the semis here. It's kind of weird talking about these things. I'm writing these notes before main event happened, but just bear with me. We'll get to main event coming up. At the time, I was thinking they made the wrong call here. And maybe I still kind of do think that. I think they might have made the wrong call. But I totally get it. Michin worked for so long in the mid-card. Chelsea Green worked for so long in the mid-card. So it makes sense that those two women would be in the finals. But I don't know. I would have kept Tiffany Stratton looking strong. Michin can fight for that women's title at some point. I would have kept Tiffany Stratton looking strong. I wouldn't have had her win the tournament, but I would have had her at least get to the finals. And at the time, I was thinking the only way this would work for me is if Michin ends up winning the whole tournament and Tiffany Stratton cashes the Money in the Bank briefcase in on her. But I was like, no, they're not gonna. There's no way they would do that either. Obviously, they didn't, but it's just been setting up for too long now with Candice coming in, driving a wedge between Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. That's going to be the payoff, and I'm going to say it happens at the Royal Rumble. So Chelsea, Tiffany Stratton lost to Michin. Chelsea beat Bayley a little bit later on. I think, I don't know, I'll give that first match a C+. Chelsea beating Bayley. Pretty decent. Give that a B. So, yeah, and we can go ahead and talk about the championship at Saturday night's main. Let's wait. Let's just get through SmackDown and we'll get there. We had the Roman vignette. Give it an A-. I loved it. Challenging Solo Sikoa for the Ula Falala. I'm never going to get that right. My apologies. That will be on Netflix January 6th. It's gonna earn it back. Gonna earn it back. That's what Roman says. He's gonna earn back the Ula Falala and his respect. Sign me up. It doesn't make any sense though, honestly, because those guys are on SmackDown and not Raw, but whatever, I get it. They're making Raw on Netflix as big as possible. What happens, though? What happens on Netflix in that match? Any chance that The Rock comes out, screws over maybe Roman Reigns to set up a match at WrestleMania? Not so sure, man. I've been hearing The Rock's going to be there. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I've been hearing that he might not be available for Mania, though, so I don't know, man. Elsewhere on SmackDown, we had Carmelo Hayes versus a mystery opponent. The transfer portal is open. And even before they mentioned the transfer portal tonight, I called it. I knew it was going to be Braun Strowman. And I was like, let's freaking go, baby. I love Braun Strowman. Poor Carmelo Hayes, though. He got in like 3 moves. It might have been more like 5, but I'm going to say 3. Braun Strowman with an easy win. That's pretty darn close to a squash match. I don't think it was any over 5 minutes. And like I said, Melo didn't get in much offense. So, man, his run just is... he had the best of 7, but then that didn't even end properly in the 7th match. So, I don't know. I think they're going to have to try to repackage Carmelo Hayes. That seemed like the direction we're going in because it's not gone well. It's not gone well for Melo. Kind of sucks for me. I hope he starts doing better. Got a decent amount of couple of his autographed sports cards, I do believe. But yeah, I don't care. I love Braun so much. Push him. Push Braun again. I'm in. Give it a B-. LA Knight backstage. Knight still super over. Everything he said made sense. Give it a B+. Then he had the match against Solo Sikoa. Ended in a DQ. Baby faces come out. Try to make the save. And they get beat down. A simple, easy, but effective booking 2 weeks in a row after the Bloodline loss. Let's make The new bloodline lost to the old bloodline. Let's make the new bloodline. Let's keep trying to build them back up. Took a loss, build them back up. Let them get over against the baby faces, some decent baby faces. I thought it worked fairly well. Give it a B minus. Shinsuke Nakamura vignette. I'm digging it. I'm digging it. They might be a little too long, a little too much reading. Obviously, with him not being able to speak English, they have to put the translation up there. It does kind of take away because they got some pretty cool anime stuff going on with his vignettes, but I'm having to try to read it and look up. It's like, I don't know, it's a little bit distracting, but I think it's working pretty darn good. Shinsuke's having a pretty strong run. It's pretty early on in it, but a strong run since his return. We talked about Candice LeRae trying to drive a wedge between Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. And yeah, just the way Tiffany was looking at that briefcase, man. And then LeRae saying she's not cut out to be a singles champion. Like, that's boiling. That's boiling in there now. We're really heating up, I think, for her to cash in at the Royal Rumble. And if she does, who's Tiffany Stratton's WrestleMania opponent? Could it be Becky Lynch? Charlotte Flair? We shall see. We had Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens face to face. And I'm thinking, how are they going to book this thing? Well, if Kevin Owens has been in the car, he's not coming to the ring. He's not coming to the ring. They're going to show him in the car. And then Cody's going to Kevin Owens is going to say something super horrible. And then Rhodes is going to chase him. Well, and then they're going to fight back to the ring. That's pretty much exactly what happened. But I think it was kind of weak the way that Kevin Owens should have enticed him to get to the car. But he said some kind of mean things. But then Cody was just kind of too nonchalant, kind of acting like too big of a goober baby face. Like he wasn't taking it too serious. He was just kind of like, well, he ain't going to come out here. I guess I'll go back there and get him. So that was a little bit weak, but I like the way it was booked in general. They fight back to the ring. Owens, with the belt, knocks Cody Rhodes out, making him look strong going into Saturday night's main event because he has absolutely no shot at winning the title. And I don't know, what do you guys think? How's Cody Rhodes' run been with this championship? Like, I find myself week after week, like we started here, it's super duper high, and it's just like I don't know, man. It's slow, it's gradual, but I'm finding it less and less interesting as the weeks go on. I think the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that would bring me back in investing in him again, because I was super invested for 2 years in him, winning that title, then it always goes back to old school. Baby faces are better on the chase, so obviously got to pay it off at some point, but then, they just probably shouldn't keep the belts all that long, put them back on the heels, put baby faces right back on the chase. But the only thing I think could save this is a program with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. But that segment wasn't bad. Give it a B. Overall Smackdown grade, I'm going B. And that brings us to Saturday night main event. It's that old school feel, man. Oh yeah. Seeing Jesse the Body Ventura was cool. And then Pat Mac, let's go. Great start to the show with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. You could tell that everybody, production, wrestlers, everybody involved was trying to put their best foot forward on NBC to really impress some perhaps first-time viewers or maybe a lapsed wrestling fan. It was just great production, and I thought the match was executed extremely well. No surprise Drew McIntyre won, though. Give it a B+. I mean, just overall down the card, you could pretty much tell who was going to win every single match. Maybe a little doubt between Michin and Chelsea, but not for me, there wasn't. But I didn't mind any of that because I don't think they were catering to us hardcore fans. I think they were catering, trying to get some new fans. Good on them. No problem with it. Like we talk about, predictable's not always bad. I do like some surprises, some shocks. Like, give me matchups that it could go one way or the other, but that can't always happen. So I didn't really mind it that much. Liv Morgan, Io Sky, Women's World Championship. Little sloppy, but not horrible. Nice finish with the boots up by Liv on the moonsault. And then Oblivion. Liv retains. Give that a C+. And I like the afterwards. Well, get the new fans something to keep tuning in for. Like, whoa, who's this gal? Who's this? Oh, man, she looks badass. Talking about Rhea Ripley going face-to-face in the aisleway with Liv Morgan. Are they going to push that out till WrestleMania, or does that happen at the Royal Rumble? I think they might push it out to WrestleMania, and Rhea gets it back from her then. I don't know. We shall see. And speaking of the aisleway, just that old school fans right on top of the wrestlers and everything. Got to have a couple security walk behind them. Makes total sense. But that was cool, man. That was cool. It was like Saturday night's main event was just like right before my time, late 80s. Like I started, becoming aware to remember things about wrestling and fell in love with it in the very, very early 90s. But, just over the years, it was like, yeah. And growing up, go back and see some of them. And I think there was probably a few in the 90s, I'm sure, if I remember correctly. I do remember. I remember Jesse the Body for sure announcing. And, he didn't miss a beat. Jesse the Body didn't miss a beat. You could tell maybe a little bit just here and there where he was trying to figure out what he was going to say. But I thought he was on point. I was a little shocked by that. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's a sharp guy. He was a freaking governor, for crying out loud. So I thought he really added a lot to the show, and Pat McAfee as well. It'll be great to see Pat Mac back come January. No doubt about it. World title, another no-brainer. Gunther retains over Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Yeah, I liked it, though. I liked it. It was crazy that Priest's foot, and we're talking on the outside here, Priest's foot hit the stairs, and then Gunther still somehow got him up and powerbombed him. That could have ended tragically, but it did not. That was the only one little thing that they could have been bad, but it ended up being fine. All three men looked great. Give that a B. Chelsea Green, Michin, U.S. Women's Championship. Thought the match was all right, but the ending was fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your move of the week. Chelsea flipping over Michin from the top rope and then hitting the unprettier. That's how you do it. You're going to crown a first ever champion. You got to do it with a big popping move, and it was. Overall match grade B, just because it was a great moment, man. Super happy for Chelsea Green. I do think Michin will end up winning it at some point, but let Green run with that for a while. Overall, Saturday night main event, like I said, every single match predictable. I guess I forgot about Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. I loved it till the end. The double ref bump. One ref bump would have been fine. Honestly, I didn't even really hate doing two. Except, if you had two, then where's another? We'll have a third ref run down. And when the ref usually gets knocked out, another ref does not come down. So there's too much doing it this way and doing it this way. I think they should stick with one way or the other, because then it doesn't make any logical sense. If you're going to have a ref get knocked out, then every single time that a ref gets knocked out, another ref should run to the ring and count. I get it. We have to suspend our disbelief in wrestling. I get that. But we can sync it up when we do it. And to me, I don't know. And then again at WrestleMania, when the ref, I think Rollins, or no, it was just Rollins running down. Anyway, somewhere else at some point in time. And there have been a couple times where I see the ref running down. I'm like, oh, all right, let's go. But I don't know. I like the ref getting knocked. Just do it one way or the other. Either way, do it one way or the other. I think the best way to do it is just have the ref slowly get up, But the logical thing is probably to have another ref run down. Anyways, we had the double ref bump, and then you had your super uber face of the company baby face using the chair, hitting the crossroads on the chair. What are we doing here? Are we going to turn Cody Rhodes into a bad guy? I don't think so. So why are you having him use the chair? And this is an old school show. Your baby face should not be cheating. But to argue the other side of that point. This has been a very hated rivalry between him and Kevin Owens, so he said, screw it. And he landed him on the chair. It is what it is. The ref, though, not even getting in the ring to count. I don't know, a lot wrong with that. Honestly, it was probably my least favorite match I was looking forward to, and yeah, it was all right. It was good, but the ending was bad. Give it a B. Overall show, it definitely felt big, had a different feel. Nothing happened that surprised me, but that's all right. Trying to get the new fans, like I mentioned, told some good stories, well produced. I enjoyed it. Just the nostalgia feel of it. I'm going B+. And it is my show of the week. Now, caveat to that, obviously we weren't going to include the PLE. This is just a special, once in every 3-month deal. So if you're talking just normal shows of the week, at number 4, I got NXT. Number 3, I got Raw. Number 2, I got Dynamite. Number 1, I got Smackdown. Best moment, I'm going New Day getting drowned out by the crowd, Tony Storm's return. And then at number 1, I will go main event just because of the feel for it and everything behind it. It just, like I said, it felt big. I was into it. I was digging it, man. I just, it's just something different. So it popped me. Best match, I am going to include, Deadline obviously was the best show of the week, but and that Men's Survivor, going to have to give it number 1, but it was on a PLE, so I won't do that. I'll go number 4, Wesley, Javon Evans. Number 3, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn. Or I guess just 3, because I have the Women's Iron Survivor in here as well. So number 3, Wesley, Javon Evans. Number 2, Drew and Sammy. Number 1, Claudio Castagnoli and Will Ospreay. Best on the mic, going to go number 2, Sami Zayn. Number 1, Seth Rollins. That's in the ring. Best backstage, I'll go Drew McIntyre at number 4, John Moxley at number 3, Darby Allin's interview with Tony Schiavone at number, that was, actually Drew 5, John 4, Darby 3, Roman Reigns vignette 2, and that CM Punk sit down, I'll go number 1. I could totally get if you had that in a different order. There wasn't much to me that, none of them really was just over the top spectacular, so they were all kind of mixed in there. So honestly, you could probably put them in any order you want, really. But overall, this week in wrestling, I think with that Deadline pay-per-view being a part of things and the main event in there as well. Like if it was just the normal run-of-the-mill shows, we're probably looking at a C+, but with main event and Deadline, I'm going to give this week in wrestling a B. And that is the Top Rope Podcast. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Yeah. God bless.